In the world of martial arts, the title fight is the most important event in the life of a fighter. Succeeding could mean not just becoming a champion, but a legend whose name will be inscribed in history. Today, we'll be taking a look at the 2010 to 2018 fights. You're watching MMA Time. Number 5. Starting off our list is one of the most beautiful in terms of technique fights in the history of the UFC. TJ Dillashaw, after his confident victories against Renan Barão, has finally come to battle greatest champion of the bantamweight division, Dominick Cruz. The Dominator has had a hard time for the last few years as he had many different injuries, especially related to his legs. As Cruz said, in the morning he crawled around the house on his knees, as his injured feet simply did not allow him to devote himself to his training, nor let him live. And considering that over 4 years he had only one match, Mizugaki, his body was unaccustomed to fights, and as he told Joe Rogan, any punches in sparring were very painful. Overcame the pain and the match against TJ took place. It must be said that before the fight, Dominic did an excellent job in terms of trash talking. He made loses call many times clearly provoked anger with his behavior.
But the point is, I have faced people similar to your style and similar to your skeleton. People that switch stance, people that are faster than you, people that mix takedowns in.
I'm done talking to you.
You can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy. You gotta talk to me. You have no choice. You got nowhere to go. Keep talking. I'm better than you because I've beaten people that are better than you. I'm better than you because I've beaten champions that are still winning. I've beaten people that are still relevant.
First round began with high activity. Both fighters staged a party for fans of footwork and head movement. This battle would be decided by who would better prepare for their opponent, because both fighters have a huge number of action patterns, and more action patterns in case the enemy manages to read them. And in the first round, he made excellent use of his footwork and movement to move away from TJ's blows and counter-attack. Dillashaw acted more straightforward, cutting corners less and was first on attacks. In the second round, TJ made the necessary notes and pushed at the Dominator with a hail of blows. Some connected, but most Cruz either parried or dodged, and the obvious combination with a right high kick from TJ never went through since Dominic was constantly moving to the left side. It was strange that TJ didn't find a solution to this problem. But it should be noted that Dominic himself did not deal serious damage to his opponent. The fighters do what they can to trick and in every way catch each other unaware, and sometimes they succeed, as for example 2 takedowns in a row for Dominic. The third round continued in the same manner. The rivals found small gaps in each other's defense and are trying to hit each other, but TJ catches Cruz in the literal sense of the word, and because of this he has a very low percentage of hits, because many hits pass by, and it is clear that it's very difficult for TJ to adapt to Cruz. But at the same time, the number of strokes is approximately equal. By this moment, it becomes clear that it would not be easy for the judges to determine the winner. In the 4th and 5th round, everything continued more in TJ's favour, to the point where TJ managed to force Cruz to the ground and then control him in a clinch, which is usually very difficult to do with Dominic. Also, TJ had a good low kick given the Dominator's past injuries. He hit his legs so hard that sometimes Cruz stood on one leg, but Cruz adapted to this as a whole. Their battle was a progressive adaptation to each other, so no matter who was chosen as the winner, half the fans would remain unhappy. But Dominick Cruz won in this battle. For such a technique-intensive duel, he and TJ take 5th place. Number 4. When it comes to Frankie Edgar, UFC President Dana White constantly calls him Little Rocky. If you don't know why, you probably haven't seen his great young Frankie, for the second time defends the World Lightweight Champion title. At that time, as he himself said, his record was 13 victories and 1 Gray Maynard.
13 and Gray Maynard.
The only one whom Edgar lost to in his career was Gray, and at that time was invincible. He had victories over young Nate Diaz and at that time top fighters Kenny Florian and Jim Miller. The difference in dimension more noticeable when in the first round the small Frankie circled around Maynard landing strikes but stumbled onto a left hook that made Edgar perform a somersault and went to his corner with an already broken nose. The audience was delighted. No one expected that the fight would begin in such a manner. Well, the fact that the fight continued is a surprise in itself. Frankie came to the second round as if there was no first round. He was moving a lot again. It was noticeable that Gray was tired of trying to finish the champion, who in his usual manner cut corners at legendary takedowns. Commentator Joe Rogan was shocked at how quickly the champion recovered, because no one in the history of the UFC, after taking so many knockdowns, won the round. In the next 2 rounds, Frankie overpowered the tired Maynard, which showed everyone the meaning of the expression "heart of a champion." Despite the knockdowns and his broken nose, he did not give up. In the 5th round, Gray came out realizing that he needed to finish off the champion, since he threw 3 rounds, but Frankie gets 4th place in our list. Number 3. This place is taken by the main fight of the UFC 179 tournament. Jose Aldo fought for the 2nd time with Chad Mendes, who wanted revenge for the amazing knockout that you saw in many highlights of the Brazilian fighter. Chad was on a series of 4 wins by knockout in a row, but even this did not affect the majority's opinion that Aldo would calmly take all 5 rounds without much damage. At that time, Jose became a rather dull champion. He used his 2nd number, didn't really want to finish his opponents, fought safely and brought almost all the fights to a decision. But this fight has changed everything. From the 1st round, the fighters were beating each other and Chad forced Aldo to fight, and not only with blows but with violations of the rules, such as poking in the eyes. But he was unlikely to be glad of how he set Aldo against himself.
It's 50-50 on the feet.
Jose knocked down Chad twice already in the 1st round. Although the 2nd knockdown was after the gong. In the 2nd round, the fighters continued to throw down, but the pace of the battle began to sag a little. Aldo was a little tired, and Chad needed to recover from the huge damage in the 1st round, and he broke the rules by hitting the champion in the groin. The 3rd round began much more actively, but Chad again made a poke in the eye. It was already starting to anger the Brazilian champion, and he continued to put pressure on Mendes. But Chad, although losing, but gave a good rebuff. At one point, he even nearly knocked out the lights for the champion when he inflicted a fierce uppercut. Now Aldo should have been trying to survive, but instead, he went into a close fight and hit his opponent with a right hook, knocking him down and continuing to chase.
Oh my god! Oh my god! If he survives this,
move
if he survives this,
Go down the feet. Go down the feet.
In the 4th round, Aldo sank significantly in endurance. Chad actively began to break him and picked up the round due to endurance.
5 minutes remaining.
In the 5th round, a real fight of character began. Chad used his strength to the maximum. Aldo, his striking skills, and at the limit of their capabilities, they continued to push for victory. And Jose Aldo won it, winning 3 rounds of fight. But it doesn't matter who won, everyone was in complete delight with the fight itself. Thanks to this fight, for many, Aldo from a dull champion became a real national favourite. It is precisely for the character and manifested willpower in this battle that they take the 3rd place of our list. Number 2. In 2013, the young dominant light heavyweight world champion Jon Jones had 2 questions about him: whether he could beat an opponent with similar anthropometric data, and how he would behave in a heavy, bloody duel. At UFC 165, we got an answer to both of these questions when Jones defended his title for the record 6-time light heavyweight champion against Swede Alexander Gustafsson, from whom no one really expected anything.
Here we go.
Jon had no answer to his boxing skills. Soon, Alexander, surprised even more, made a change in tactics and he began to throw out many kicks. This round was much closer. The initiative passed into the hands of the champion.
On the 10th attempt, Jones gets the takedown.
Despite being tired, he immediately got up. After that, the champion began to destroy him in the stance. The head kick flew into the head over and over again, followed by elbows, fists. Fans, there is still a debate about who really won. That is why the rematch in UFC 232 is of great interest. Like and write in the comments if you want to see a review of the revenge match technique. Number 1. When you clicked on this video, you already knew who would take first place. After the first, quite solid match between Lawler and McDonald, the time has come for a rematch. Robbie Lawler was already a sports veteran, and although he recreated his career and won the title, many believed that Rory would take it apart. Everyone was expecting the main event of the evening, McGregor-Mendes, but these fighters stole the show because no one could predict what this battle would turn up. In the first round, the opponent started at a very slow pace. Rory skillfully took the round, but in general the fighters looked closely at each other and were ready to explode at any moment. But there were few such moments, and the audience even began to resent the fighters a little. The second round already looked different. The pace of the battle began to increase. Rory's nose was already broken and bleeding. Robbie pushed through blow after blow, but McDonald himself did not pay attention to it and went forward. It turned out another technique, heavy round. The third round continued in the same matter, but began to move into foreign territory. Lawler caused much more damage in this round. Rory tried to go into close quarters, but Robbie's defense is too high. He continued his attacks and began turning Rory's face into a real bloody mess. But all of a sudden, McDonald inflicts a high kick that shocks Robbie and starts backing away and defending himself. The round, Gong rescues Lawler from knockout. However, from a technical duel, everything turned into a real meat grinder. The fourth round began, which was the first for young Rory. He immediately attacked the champion, who did not have time to recover and began to destroy Lawler. The picture of this battle has changed to completely the opposite. Lawler survives but still enters the exchanges, and by the end of the battle they are both completely broken and bleed, and do the classic moment. They arrange a battle of glances right after the round. Robbie stood, making it clear that this was his territory, but Rory, despite the fact that the referee pushed him away, did not go anywhere and fought back. For the fifth round, McDonald comes out with his nose already destroyed, and that moment his nickname Red King arises and he goes forward to Lawler with a hail of punches. But Robbie is not for nothing called the Berserker. He is known for persevering a little strength for fifth round to have an advantage over the opponent, and so it happened when Lawler pushed on Rory. His nose could not stand the next direct blows and he fell on the canvas with his hands closed. When the doctor came up to stop the bleeding and touched McDonald's nose, he felt such pain that he almost lost consciousness. But this battle will definitely remain in the history of the UFC and MMA as a whole, because only a few fighters show such dedication and character, and these two proudly take first place of our list. If you want a top list about the best title fights up to 2010, then let's get 15,000 likes and comment down below which title you think is the best in history. If you like that type of content, hit like button, smash subscribe and kick that notification button.